Apple's new lineup of iPhones for 2025 has been out for roughly 1 month now, and it's time to put it up against the new Google Pixel 10 series. So in this video, we're going to focus on the Pro versions. But if you want to see a base model Pixel 10 versus iPhone 17, be sure to like this video, let me know down in those comments, and I will be happy to make one. So I've been testing out the 17 Pro and the Pro Max, as well as the 10 Pro, and I have the 10 Pro XL. But for the sake of bouncing around too much here, and since both devices are the same minus battery and screen size, we're just going to focus on the smaller Pro versions, and I'll make appropriate callouts to the larger ones when necessary. But let's just jump right in. I mean, from a design perspective, you'll see a familiar look and feel for the Pixel with that larger camera bump that extends throughout the entire width of the phone. But hey, wait a minute. Looks like the iPhone 17 Pro is taking a page out of Google's playbook here with its new camera plateau. I always liked the way this looked on the Pixel phone, so I am happy to see it on the iPhone here, but I wish there was a way to eliminate the table wobble even more on the iPhone. There's basically none here with the Pixel 10, but the iPhone still wobbles quite a bit without a case. Now, most people will just put a case on it, and so this doesn't really impact you, but I go caseless, and so, yeah, I would like to see that fixed. Now, the Pixel 10 Pro is still using a shiny aluminum frame, and I'm not really a fan of the polished look personally, though it does look and feel excellent in the hand. Overall, I don't have any issues at all with the design except for the polished side. I mean, it is frosted glass throughout the back, which is what Apple has had up until just recently as it transitioned into more of an aluminum frame that's kind of this matte aluminum that's spread throughout the back. And then there is a cutout here for the glass, and that part is still frosted, making things a little bit more of a subtle look and feel to it. And I think this is great. And also, this is where the wireless charging happens. And so, yeah, you need that. But overall, I really like the look of both phones. The two-tone look on the iPhone is just something I prefer a little bit more than, the polished look here and then the frosted glass. But yeah, I think anyone will be happy with what they get. Durability, on the other hand, it's early, but there were a lot of reports early on with people when they first got their devices with the iPhone that the aluminum build is showcasing a lot of scratches pretty easily. I have not had any issues with any of the phones that I have. I also don't use a screen protector on the front, and this part is really important here because this phone has the new Ceramic Shield 2 glass, and that has been one of my favorite new features across all of the new iPhones this year. Absolutely no scratches so far. Excellent oleophobic coating that reduces the gross smudges that you get on your phone when you use it, which is natural, but I haven't seen a lot. And the anti-reflective coating on these displays, it's minimal, though, it does help in certain situations. Now, Google's using the Gorilla Glass Victus 2, which is fine. A lot of other phones are using this. And it's just a little bit more prone to scratches. So if you aren't super careful, you're going to have some issues, just like you would with iPhones in the past. But this year, this has gotten so much better for durability on the screen. So the TLDR on durability, you'll be fine with most part. If you put a screen protector on any of these phones, it'll be great. Put a case on them, they'll be just fine. But be careful with the aluminum frames on the iPhone, as apparently those have been getting scratched pretty easily. Now, before we get on with the rest of this video, I want to take a quick minute to tell you more about some of the new cases for the iPhone 17 lineup that I've been testing from Pitaka. First up, the Ultra Slim case. This thing is feather light, barely adds any bulk at all, and the Aramid fiber weave makes it feel super premium in the hand. It's fully MagSafe compatible, and if you go with the PitaTap version, you even get a new tactile button experience for your camera control button here on the iPhone 17. Then there's the Aramid Pro Guard case, and this one is all about protection. Military-grade drop tested with arched corner cushioning to keep your phone safe from real-world drops, while still keeping that slim, stylish Pitaka look. And finally, the Aramid Ultra Guard case. This is the most balanced choice among the three, combining solid protection with Pitaka's craftsmanship and aesthetic design. Full wrap Aramid fiber fused with TPU, metallic buttons, and reinforced edges for complete coverage. It's durable, it's elegant, and still surprisingly slim compared to some of the other heavy-duty cases out there. Now, no matter which one you go with, Pitaka's cases give you that perfect mix of style, protection, and functionality for your new iPhone 17 or 17 Pro device. If you'd like to try any of these Pataka cases for yourself, use our code MacRumor10OFF for a 10% discount. Thanks, Pataka, for sponsoring this video. Now, if we flip it over to the front, both phones are rocking a 6.3-inch beautiful OLED display that are bright, vibrant, crisp, all of the display buzzwords, high contrast, deep blacks, etc. They are both excellent. They both have 120 Hz variable refresh rates to give you that buttery smooth scroll effect that we all know and love. And if you opt for the larger models, the Pixel 10 Pro XL has a 6.9-inch screen. Sorry, flip that. The Pixel 10 Pro XL has a 6.8-inch screen, while the iPhone is slightly larger at the 6.9-inch. I mean, it's hardly noticeable. Both phones also have a triple lens camera system. And this is the part of the comparison video where people traditionally will start to pick sides if they don't have a preference in terms of the software. But I feel like it's getting harder and harder these days to definitively say with absolute certainty that this camera setup on the iPhone is better than the one on the Google or vice versa. It's always just a preference thing. And even then, I'm having a hard time really deciding which ones I like a bit more. I feel like more often than not, I am flipping back and forth on a photo by photo basis. So when you look at these photos on the phone after you take them, you'll be super happy no matter which device you have. But when you start to line them up next to each other, you'll start to have a little bit of a preference. Each photo in good lighting is typically sharp and detailed enough with excellent colors that you'll probably be more than happy with. But again, put them side by side and you'll see which OEM starts to do post-processing differently. And I think Google has some really strong processing of these photos. So much more detail and sharpness compared to what you get with the iPhone. The Pixel does get a little bit more forced and unnatural. Again, it's going to be a preference thing, and most of you will not notice unless you're taking pictures side by side. For me, the colors on the Pixel are really deep and more rich than what I'm getting on the iPhone at times. A lot of these photos that were taken on like my hike, so a lot of greens, just feel a little bit more dark and vibrant. The highlights are often a bit cranked up on the iPhone as well. Again, it's not bad, just not sure which general direction I'm always leaning towards because on a photo-by-photo basis, I am often switching. Now, the iPhone 17 Pro has a 48-megapixel telephoto zoom lens. It starts off at 4x, and it can go up to 8x optical quality. The Pixel kind of does the same thing here, but it's 5x to 10x. So you're going to see a little bit of a range discrepancy here from distances, but the photos were coming out pretty nicely on the 8 and 10x lenses. Slightly different color profiles from other lenses on the same phone. So when you're zooming in, things start to change a little bit. That is pretty natural. I feel like the iPhone, some of these buildings, it's now becoming a little bit more sharp than the Pixel. I don't really understand the processing going on with the telephoto lens, but yeah, it seems to kind of flip-flop. But again, I would love to hear from you in the comments down below. There's a lot of information thrown at you at once, but let me know what your preferences are between each photo. With video, I still lean iPhone just because of all of the extra pro video features you can do with the iPhone. And I often at events use my phone to film, and I will use ProRes and now ProRes RAW. I just feel like the 24 frames per second that you get on the iPhone is just a bit more cinematic than what you get with the 24 frames per second on the Pixel. I prefer that style, but I gotta say the Pixel video quality, most normal everyday family video type stuff is much better than in years past. And it's gotten right up there with the iPhone, in my opinion. So if you want a more professional camera system without some of the limitations, I think the iPhone's the way to go for video. But I am greatly impressed with what you're getting on the Pixel 10 Pro. With selfies, Apple has added a brand new 18-megapixel selfie camera. And that is a new square sensor that features center stage for smart switching of the orientation based on how many people might be in the photo. You also don't need to rotate your phone landscape to take a landscape selfie. It does it on its own because of that square sensor. And as you can see here, there's only one photo that was able to fit all three of my kids where the Pixel kind of struggled to do that unless I had everyone move back or I reached my arms out super far. And so I really like this feature on the iPhone. If this is something that you'd prefer, then you might want to go with this one. Again, let me know in the comments which overall photos and videos you prefer, and if that's going to help impact your buying decision. Ultimately, we do know that while the camera is going to play a big part in what phone people might decide to buy, it's also about the whole ecosystem thing. Features like iMessage on the iPhone, the old green bubble, blue bubble debate. And while yes, RCS has made things so much better, it's still not iMessage, and it has some not so great hiccups for me every now and again. Sometimes it just straight up doesn't work and I have to send things as a text. Features like AirDrop can be done on Android, but it does require tweaking and third-party applications at times. And so if you just own a lot of other Apple devices, an iPad, a MacBook, it just makes sense to go with an iPhone. And I would even throw in MagSafe as an ecosystem of accessories that I use on a pretty regular basis, but this time Google added Pixel Snap, which is just MagSafe. It works exactly the same. In fact, it is compatible with all MagSafe accessories. I have not gone out and bought any of the third-party Pixel Snap accessories because I have so many MagSafe accessories, and you can use that. So docks, chargers, wallets, you name it. If it's MagSafe, it'll work on these new Pixels, which is a huge addition in my opinion. The biggest thing to the whole ecosystem thing is simply just software experience. And if, I wanted to make this video 15 minutes longer, we could dive into Android versus iOS operating systems, but they are certainly different. And if you are someone who's been on one for so long, that's going to be the one that you're going to use for your purchase decision. For me, it's iOS, so I would go with the iPhone. But if you are platform agnostic still and you just don't care, or maybe you're sick of the iPhone and you might want to switch to Android, get the Google Pixel 10 Pro, especially if you're an AI person, because AI, the Google Assistant, Google Gemini is so just much better infused than what you get with Siri. It's just a far better first-party experience, in my opinion. And even ChatGPT, which is something I use a ton. I'm a big ChatGPT user. That implementation with Siri is just not that great, to the point where I just go and use ChatGPT, the app, on my iPhone as the way I want to use any kind of AI functionality. And I program the action button to be my launcher into that app. I don't even use the first-party integration because I just don't think it's as good. You get Gemini's AI model and all of its capabilities as a first-party service. Hold down the power button, interact with Gemini, and all of the aspects of your device are built right into that AI experience. So if you take that all into consideration, I'd love to hear which iPhone you would pick in the comments down below. I'm an iPhone user, obviously, but I do recognize that Google just really has a solid thing going on here with its Pixel phones and the Gemini introduction and implementation. It's just so much better than what Apple has to offer right now with Siri. Hopefully that improves, but it hasn't right now. And one day maybe we'll get to experience that too. But let me know in the comments down below which phone you'd go with. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss more videos and comparisons like this in the future. And thanks for watching, and I'll catch everybody in the next video.